I was an OG Sheraseven follower. I don't get me fucking started on the Nicki and Megan's. Don't. I will have a freak out. I tweeted a lot about it if you want to go look at that, but like, okay, maybe I'll talk about it in a second. Sheraseven, I followed her in. You know what's so funny actually? If you guys are on my, I feel like I see similar, like I see the same names on my lives. But when I was dating my ex boyfriend who was like abusive and insane, he we had there was like a really bad, we always had blowout arguments, but there was one that was so bad, and it was like the first time I was genuinely like, oh my god, I need to get away from this person, like this person's insane and I need to break up with him. And it was when I was on a trip. I brought him on a family trip, don't know why I did that, and it was a nightmare, and I broke my phone like all of it. So I went home and I broke my phone, so it was kind of good because it forced me to not really communicate with him. Granted, I had a laptop, so like I was getting texts from my laptop and he was emailing me a lot. But I was, for the first time ever, like shutting my mouth. Like I just completely did not respond to him. And at the time, because my relationship was so dysfunctional, like when I would be at home alone instead of sleeping with him, which I typically was, I was like very anxious and very on an edge because he made me so fucking anxious, and every time we got in a fight he would threaten to kill himself, so I'd be up all night worried that he was going to kill himself. So normally what I would be doing is like calling and calling and calling, making sure he's not going to fucking kill himself. But because my phone was broke forever, I was like, wow, okay, this is my lesson. I'm being forced to cut communication. Maybe this time I'll really break up with this person. But I needed to go to bed with something that would soothe me, and I discovered Sheraseven. And it was in 2020, I think, and it was when she used to wear like pearls and like pink sweaters, the bows and stuff like that. And when I tell you, this woman saying sprinkle sprinkle, I literally was so confused. And no one would talk about it in the comments, and people just say it. People just be like sprinkle sprinkle, and I was like, I'm missing something. Like there's something not clicking with me. I need to watch more of this woman. And I was like, why the fuck is she saying sprinkle sprinkle? What does that mean? And then I realized, because she did lives a lot, she would say sprinkle sprinkle when people tipped her. So I was like, oh, sprinkle sprinkle is like sprinkle sprinkle, like sprinkle sprinkle, thank you, like I'm grateful, like that's the sort of thing that it meant. So I started to watch her like obsessively because she really got me through that time. And I have to say, I really do think she was the first person who was able to break me out of my delusion into understanding like men who treat you like this and do this and this and this to you, they do not care about you. They do not care about you. They do not love you. You're settling. You're a loser. You need to ask for more. And that was really the first, like with having no contact to my boyfriend for a few days, feeling very fed up after like a disastrous trip with him, and like for real being like, wow, like I was so disrespected this time, like I don't know if I can go back to this person. Having someone kind of like so soberingly and objectively and logically explain to me that this was all a self-worth issue and really not much to even do with my boyfriend, I was like, whoa. Because I was surrounded, like I've been raised by other women that have been in those situations and never got out of them, have like been married and had kids with abusive men, and like still for the love of God have not gotten out of that cycle into their 60s, 70s. So I didn't have many people around me being able to tell me like, this is really bad, or like, do you need to end this here, or like you really need to leave this person. Like I didn't have any external voices telling me that I deserved better. So I have to say, like, content and people online like TikTok really did a number on me getting out of my abusive relationship, and I'm so grateful for it. And that's why like I try to be very loud about it, because it's not immediate. It's not something where you hear someone tell you to leave once and you leave. Like anyone that's been in that situation, you know, you have to hear it over and over and over and over and over from multiple people until you get fed up enough and you're like, oh my fucking God, fine. Like I will actually do better. So I think watching a lot of her helped me a lot. However, I will say people get confused. The advice that she's giving is from a non-emotional perspective, using sex worker tips to benefit off of men, not to be in normal, healthy relationships with them. And I think a lot of the femininity soft life content, people get confused and they try to apply sex work tips to their romantic relationship and don't understand why it's not clicking. And it's because you are 19 years old, 23 years old, you've worked at a TJ Maxx and you're dating your boyfriend from high school from your hometown. And then on a random Tuesday afternoon, you're saying, do you think you could get me a Louis bag? And then saying you're going to break up with him when he doesn't. Yeah, he's going to be confused. Like, he's going to be like, who the fuck am I speaking to? Because it's not how you've ever acted before. And that's not your pimp. It's your boyfriend. So, like, people need to understand that if that is what you want and that's the lifestyle you want and that's the transition you're willing to commit to, you got to scrap the whole project because it's most likely not going to happen with the person you're already with. It's a total lifestyle change that needs to be approached with someone, a suitor that complements those things. You don't really want to date someone that falls for sex worker tips because that man is an idiot and that man is weak. And Shira is teaching you to monetize and benefit and weaponize off of that weakness as a woman and having those things built in, rather than settling for someone that doesn't do those things but also doesn't respect you enough or care about your happiness enough to give you more than the bare minimum. I think that that's like basically it. Yeah, and I have so much more emotional control and regulation now. I really used to not. I was such a loosey-goosey, over-empathetic, very easy to manipulate, gullible person when it came to emotions, because my intention was always coming from a place of being kind and empathetic and understanding. I assumed that's everybody else's. It's not. And that's why a lot of women get hurt. They think everyone's thinking like they are not. And therefore you need to protect yourself a little bit more. That's why boundaries are important. That's why your value system's important. So like hearing someone tell me like it was in such a black and white way with no wiggle room to like convince myself of anything otherwise made me be like, yeah, true. Like, can't fight with that. And I think that I'm also, I think I can be a prideful person at times. And I think I needed someone to be less sympathetic and just be like, poor Kayla, I know you're in a hard relationship. Like, I know it's sad. You know, hopefully he gets better. Like, less of that. And I think for the first time hearing someone who was unbiased saying like, you're being a fucking loser, and if you keep acting this way, you're going to be in 5 years, 30 years old and still a loser. I was like, damn, that's true. And it really helped me.